Here we are again, the world of Termina, a place filled with mystery, fun side quests, and dark tales. However, today we will only be talking about some of the wildest myths and claims that I could find on the internet, as well as the comment section of the last video. For example, can a gossip stone turn into a rocket? Can you revive a Dekubaba using the Song of Healing? And what happens if you approach the Scarecrow while wearing Camaro's mask? Well, let's find out. Number 20. Out of all the towns seen in the Zelda games, I have to say that Clock Town is my favorite one, along with Hyrule Castle Town from Twilight Princess. Due to the schedules, complex characters, and events that take place in Clock Town, it has a lot of depth, unlike the towns seen in games like Breath of the Wild that aren't too special. And so you will find a lot of secrets here, as well as Easter eggs. And I saw online that there's apparently something in the waters below Clock Tower. It is said that you can find 4 pieces of algae shaped like Nintendo 64 controllers there. Now, I had never looked around here, so I decided to check it out. And yeah, as you can see, there are floating pieces of algae in the water. But in my opinion, they don't look like N64 controllers. So yeah, in a way, this is true, but also not really. So I would label this one as plausible. It all depends on perspective. Number 19. Now sure, you can find a lot of cool little details and Easter eggs in Clock Town, but just outside of its walls, there's also a lot to be found. From small scribbles made by Skull Kid to this bird that constantly flies in circles and hides a secret that we covered in a previous video. And in the comments of that other video, I saw someone make an interesting claim about this Gwei. It flies around rather fast, but according to Russ, if you slow down time, then the bird will also move slower. This makes a lot of sense, because the inverted Song of Time slows down everything. For example, all the NPCs in Clock Town. But what about this bird? Well, I followed it for a bit to see how fast he really goes. And when walking, I was going a similar speed. Then I slowed down time and followed the bird once again, expecting to surpass it. But sadly enough, he was flying just as fast as before. As far as I can see, the Song of Inverted Time doesn't affect this bird whatsoever. So yeah, sorry, this claim is false. Number 18. As we all know by now, Seikon isn't a great guy. He's a thief that tries to deceive you and even robs old ladies. Luckily enough, you can punish him for some of these crimes. And if you truly are a devil, you can even kill him, which is something that we covered in the previous video. But after doing so, Matthias started thinking about the implications. If you kill him, this could affect other side quests in the game that involve Seikon. For example, the Anju and Cafe questline. So does it prevent you from completing this? Well, I gave it a shot, and the answer is yes, because at some point you have to enter Seikon's hideout to get the sun mask back. But this is impossible if he doesn't show up and open the door to this place. So yeah, if you kill him, the quest becomes impossible. Aside from that, Cafe also has to spot him in the curiosity shop, which also doesn't happen. I even saw a lot of guides online warn for this. Most even said that you can't help the old lady whatsoever. So even if he survives, it will mess with the quest line. In the end, you can't help everyone. And believe me, I tried this when I was younger. But it is impossible to complete everything in one cycle, because a lot of quests affect others. Number 17. When you first head towards Snowhead Mountain, you will see that unlike the Gorons from Ocarina of Time, who were dealing with heat, these Gorons are dealing with extreme cold. And I always loved this contrast. But aside from that, the enemies you encounter are overall the same. Now, one that you will see often is the Tektite. And our next claim involves these freakish enemies, because according to claims online, you can flip them upside down. As most of us know, when you're a Goron, you can do a ground pound, which creates a huge shockwave, and this can flip a Tektite, which I had never tried, so I went to the mountains to find a Tektite that I could flip. Now inside of this giant snowball, I found one, and without hesitation, I ground pounded to see what would happen. And as you can see, it worked. I can even flip it back. So yeah, this claim is true, and it doesn't even hurt the enemy. So if you were ever going for a pacifist run, then this could help a lot. Number 16. This next claim is quite simple, and it's also not new to me, because as a big fan of speedrunning, I have seen this trick before. Now, like a lot of Zelda games, there's an order for beating the dungeons. First you go to the swamp, then the mountains, after that the bay, and last, but not least, the canyon. This is something I don't like that much, because a game like Majora's Mask could have been open world, and the same goes for other titles like the Wind Waker. But hey, Nintendo wasn't ready for that apparently. However, that doesn't mean you can't break the game and do things out of order. One trick that can help with this, according to Jojo Dude, is placing a bomb next to the wall that leads to the Great Bay, and then ground pounding at the right time. This way the blast will damage you and fling you over the wall. So I went there and tried this trick because it sounded pretty easy. Now in the end it did take a while before it worked, because it requires good timing, but I did pull it off, and I got to the other side without Epona, which is awesome. However, this wasn't new to me. I had seen it before in a speedrun, but still, it's a great trick. Number 15. In Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, you can obtain two-handed swords through specific quests, and I absolutely loved that. I was even disappointed that these didn't make a return in later titles like Twilight Princess or The Wind Waker. But while these are cool, you can't do everything with them. I mean, in the last video we tried to use the Great Fairy Sword for training, but couldn't. However, in the comments, Devon said that I could solve this issue by using a cheat code that allows me to use items anywhere, even if it isn't allowed normally. And luckily enough, this cheat is automatically included in the Project 64 emulator that I use. So I went to the sword fighting school and activated it. Now as you can see, I am allowed to use the sword, but for some reason, I constantly fail, even though I do exactly what he is saying. Only the jump slash worked. For all the others, I had to use my normal sword. So yeah, this does work, but still, the game makes it impossible. Number 14. The Honey and Darling minigame shop, an odd place that changes every day, and overall the games they have are quite fun. But apparently to win some money, you don't even have to go inside of the store itself. A prize can be won just outside of it. Kakariko H said that if you shoot the targets or toss a bomb into the baskets that make up the sign outside of the shop, you will get a handful of rupees. Now as a greedy Dutchman myself, that loves a discount or straight up free money, I had to try this one. First, I shot the targets, which netted me 3 rupees each, and then I threw a bomb into the basket, and once again, I got 3 rupees. Clearly it works, but only once. Number 13. Sometimes I see people make outrageous claims that sound like a complete lie to me, and recently I came across a comment just like that. Tiger said that you can destroy the gigantic boulder blocking the way to Romani Ranch by punching it as a Goron. This would be faster and cheaper than getting the powder keg, but in the end this person wasn't sure if this was true or just a dream. Now when I read this I was skeptical, and I wasn't the only one. Everyone was questioning this, but still I tried it. However, no matter how often I hit it, nothing happened. The boulder didn't break. Now it could be that Tiger thought that this was possible because on the 3rd day the boulder will be gone due to him. However, it doesn't matter if you help or not. This will always happen. So maybe that has something to do with it. Who knows? Number 12. In the past, I made a lot of theory videos about this game, specifically covering the different relationships between characters. Really, for a game from the year 2000, there's lots of depth. And every time I played the game, I discover new connections. And Ebony from the comment section suggested that I should talk to the builders while wearing Cafe's mask, because one of them will actually become upset about the wedding, and in general they have some interesting dialogue. So I put on the mask and talked to the ones I could find. And man oh man, these guys are weird. Most of them are pretty vague about seeing him somewhere, while the foreman and this guy over at the poster are pretty aggressive. It almost seems like Cafe has gotten into a fight with some of them before, and so therefore they are pretty hostile. So Ebony was right, and now I am curious about the whole situation. But maybe one day I will look into it all. Number 11. Now so far we haven't really been in Ikana Canyon for these videos, but now we will finally go there for something rather small, a paper airplane. Because I read on the internet that one of these can be found on the pillars in the courtyard of Ikana Castle. A strange place for something like that. So I went there and using cheats, I could easily search all the pillars. And here I found a paper airplane that people were talking about, which means that this claim is real. But now I wonder, how did it get there? Which kid plays around in this haunted land? Well, only Pamela as far as I know. So maybe she did it? Who knows, really? Number 10. Now, we have already annoyed Honey and Darling before in this video by messing with their shop sign for some rupees. However, now we are going to do something much worse, because I read online that you can also hurt them directly. If you shoot the couple during the target shooting minigame on the final day, they will react by saying, "Aye, that hurts." So I played the song of Double Time until it was the final day and headed over to their little shop to see what my mighty bow could do. Now, as soon as the game began, I started shooting at them. And yeah, as you can see, they clearly aren't liking it, but it isn't enough to actually injure or kill them. So sure, they aren't a big fan of this, but Link isn't committing a crime. Number 9. One thing I love about making these videos is all the comments that are filled with fun claims that I can try in future videos. And in the comments of the previous video, I saw someone claim that you can more easily access a secret treasure chest if you're in your Zora form. Instead of jumping from here onto these bits and pieces of this sign to get there, you can just stand on this bench as a Zora to get up here, skipping all these challenging jumps. But is it really that easy? Well, I turned into a Zora and tried to get up there, but no matter what I did, I never succeeded. As far as I can see, this just doesn't work at all. Or I am doing something wrong, but I'm not sure what exactly. As far as I can see, this doesn't work at all. So I would say that this is false. However, if I am wrong, then let me know in the comments below. Number 8. Like I mentioned earlier, I made a lot of theory videos back in the day about the strange connections between the different characters seen in Clock Town. And someone who is clearly hiding secrets is the mayor, which other people noticed as well. Because when I was looking through the comments, Devin mentioned that the mayor will say something interesting if you talk to him with the cafe mask on. So I went there and talked to him to see what he would say. And what the commenter claimed was true, which I already knew. The mayor shares a secret with you that his wife doesn't know about and says that I need to ask about cafe at the curiosity shop in the western part of town. And then at the end he says that guy is a bad influence on me. So clearly he knows him and that his shop isn't 100% legit. Now, I wrote a whole theory about this years ago, and I still think that the mayor and the man from the curiosity shop have struck some sort of dark deal. I mean, everyone knows that he sells stolen goods, but he is still allowed to run his business without any issues. It's suspicious to say the least. But hey, if you want to know more, you can check out that old video after you're done with this one. But I will warn you, my voice sounds terrible, and man, it is old at this point. Number 7. There are multiple ways to fast forward time in the game, with the Song of Double Time being the most convenient. But there is another option. Anju's grandmother. She will tell you long stories, but each time you fall asleep, an hours pass. However, I read that there is one little detail that almost no one notices when talking to her. On the back of her wheelchair, there is a picture of a tiger, which sounds pretty rad. So I checked the back, and yeah, you can see a gigantic, aggressive-looking tiger that looks pretty sick. In general, this wheelchair is pretty heavy metal, with the crazy tiger and spikes sticking out on the sides of the wheels. Clearly, this wasn't made for a senile grandmother, but a true warrior. And also, by the looks of it, this tiger on the back is actually a reference to the pet tiger owned by her Hyrulean equivalent, which is a fun little Easter egg. Number 6. When you replay one of the older Zelda games like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, you usually remember how to play some of the songs. And while you can play them on the ocarina, nothing happens because you haven't been taught yet. Without this internal flag being checked, the game just doesn't allow you to use the Sun Song or the Song of Healing. But according to Gino, there is no requirement to learn the Song of Double Time or Inverted Song of Time. You can play these as soon as you have the normal Song of Time. Now, when it comes to every other song, this doesn't work. So I was a bit skeptical, because normally the Scarecrow will tell you about these. So I created a new save, went through the intro, and tried it as soon as I had the ocarina. I hadn't even visited the mask salesman, so I was still stuck in my Deku form. But to my surprise, I was able to play both songs without any issues, and they had the desired effect as well. So yeah, Gino was right, you don't even need to learn these to play them. Number 5. Throughout the game you encounter a lot of different foes, and most of these don't survive an encounter with Link, but if they are pretty tough, then they can also kill you. Luckily enough, most aren't that tough, with the Deku Babas being one of the easiest ones to defeat. But after killing one of them, I thought to myself, can you also revive them with something? For example, in the last video we tried water, and after doing so, TDL asked me in the comments if I had tried using the Song of Healing to bring them back. Now I thought to myself that was a pretty good idea, so when I was inside of the Woodfall Temple, I killed some of the Deku Babas and tried to bring them back using the Song of Healing. However, when I did this, nothing really happened. The Deku Babas stayed dead, and when I tried it here and it came back, I noticed that it always does this no matter what. So yeah, this doesn't work. Number 4. Before I started to harass the Deku Babas found in this cursed temple, I tried to retest the myth seen in the previous video, because we tried to swim in the poisoned waters found in the swamps of Termina, but we ran into an issue. Most of it is too shallow to swim in, and so people in the comments of that video went nuts, sending me all kinds of solutions for the problem. And Scribble asked me if the waters found in the Woodfall dungeon are deep enough to swim in, and if so, I could try it there. Well, I gave it a shot, and I was able to swim in these waters, but then when I tried to use the Zora Swim, I noticed that the damage of the poison constantly stopped me from doing so, which means that the claim we tried to test in the previous video is true. You can't swim in these poisoned waters because it just hurts too much. Number 3. Alright, this next claim actually blew my mind when I read it, because it was a crazy claim that I had never ever heard of. I didn't even know that this could be possible. And it all revolves around one thing: dirty underwear. In the game you can obtain the scent mask. It looks like a pig and enhances Link's senses. This way he can find special mushrooms. And this is only useful for one little side quest where you need to find a mushroom for the old witch who runs the potion shop in the swamp. And normally you look for these in the swamp. This way you can finish it all in a matter of minutes. But when I was looking for myths, I found a wild claim. The underwear on Gorman's bed can be collected as a magic mushroom using the Mask of Sense. Now I thought that this was fake for sure, but it isn't. As soon as I put the mask on, I can see the purple smoke coming from it, and using a bottle I was able to capture it. Clearly this underwear is super gross, old, and covered in blue mushrooms. The exact thing that the witch needs. So yeah, this works, weirdly enough. Number 2. Gossip stones are odd. They were made by the Sheikah, but for some reason they are also seen in Termina, where we have never seen Sheikahs before. So in many ways, seeing them here doesn't make much sense. And just like their Ocarina of Time counterpart, they just tell the time and share secrets with you if you wear the Mask of Truth. But can you mess with them just like in Ocarina of Time? Well, yes. And I read somewhere that you can even turn them into a rocket. All you do is place a bomb near them and wait for it to explode. As soon as it does, the Gossip Stone will fly away like a rocket and explode, which sounds pretty awesome. So I found one on the road to Romani Ranch and gave this a shot. I placed the bomb next to it, the thing went off, I saw the stone do a countdown of sorts before launch, and then it went high into the sky like a rocket. Now after a while, it exploded and it was gone. Clearly the claim is true, and it looks super cool as well. Who knew that this magic stone was also secretly a rocket? Number 1. When you first explore Clock Town and meet its inhabitants, you will see that most of them are quite normal. All of them are humans, Zoras, and Gorons. But you will also come across one weird being that must be magical in some way. This living scarecrow that you will encounter in a couple of places, like this shop, and he loves dancing. So if you want to pass the time, then you can dance with him, which can be handy. But personally, I prefer the Song of Double Time. However, online, I saw that he will dance like crazy when you are close to him while wearing Camaro's mask. You can obtain this mask by healing the soul of this spirit, who appears on a rock just outside of Clock Town, and you can help him by playing the Song of Healing. Now, when you wear the mask, you can perform his dance, and use it to teach the dancers found in West Clock Town. So I got the mask and went over to the scarecrow found in the trading post to see how he would react. And yeah, he starts dancing dancing like there's no tomorrow, and only calms down when I take the mask off, which means that this claim is true, and very fitting as well, because Camaro's mask is all about dancing. Now those were all the myths we had for today, but don't worry, I made more videos like this about Tears of the Kingdom, Ocarina of Time, and even Majora's Mask, so be sure to check those out, leave your ideas for future myth-busting videos below, leave a like, and subscribe so you won't miss any future videos.